All right, so to continue off of what I just was talking about with the guest speaker in my philosophy of religion class, another epiphany or kind of, oh, this is crazy moment, train of thought occurred when the professor was talking about how, say for instance, the guest speaker for the day was God. So he walks in, he's like, all right, everybody, the guest speaker is going to be dun, 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 God. Well, first of all, would you believe it? It was God, and why? Why would you believe it was? Okay, so when he was asking this question, I started thinking about how if it was God, right, and he's coming in there and he's saying all these things like, well, if you don't believe I'm God, or how, what the professor was saying, like, what would you do? So how would you respond? So some people are like, well, I'd ask him to prove it. All right, and then some other people would be like, or said, well, wouldn't you think that if it's God, he wouldn't have to prove who he was? You would just know. Instinct, it would just be like, kind of moment. All right, well, let's be realistic. Let's just say that this occurred in real life and someone walked in and it wasn't like that. Not saying that it should or it shouldn't, because, really, we don't know. Really, we don't know, okay? So what I realized is that if God did come in and we're asking him, okay, you're God, prove it to us, and he created a human being out of nothing, and you're thinking, oh, wow, this is amazing. Well, what I was thinking in my head is, well, what if it was just an extraterrestrial that had these impeccable powers that we have no idea about, and obviously wouldn't, because, well, our government would most likely be keeping that from us, and maybe is. Not the point. Point being is, it could be any sort of being that, if God is God, which could mean that there are other life beings out there who have powers that we don't understand and we don't know and we're unfamiliar with. So, or, I kept thinking like of this magician coming in and showing us these tricks that you're just in awe about, and you're like, oh my God, this person is not God, I want to say, but it's not the word I want in this context of conversation. What I'm getting at is God comes in as this guest speaker and he starts talking to you and telling you, okay, my disciples, all right, my beings, this is going to happen. This is what I want you to do. This is what you should expect. So maybe he comes in, he's like, from now on, no more eating animals. Go, God, go. Or he says, the world is going to end, or your point of life is that I was just really bored one day and I created you, or, I really was looking for something to love and so I created you. Whatever. So he has all these reasonings, all these answers to your questions. Well, what sparked in my head when I was thinking about is the professor actually as this guest speaker, or any professor, or any person that comes in front of a group of people and starts talking to them. Usually what's happening is, so they're, okay, in the educational system, they're educating you, okay? But when he was talking about God coming in as a guest speaker and basically giving you all this information that if it's God, whether you believe in them or not, let's just say it is, you're going to be bowing down, you're going to be like at the edge of your seat listening to everything that he has to say, because, well, by all means, you don't want to go to hell, right? This is your creator. You want to do whatever he wants. You want to be his little soldier. You want to make him feel like he made the right decision in creating you. Okay, so back to what I was saying. With any type of person that comes into a room and they start talking to a group of people, they're almost doing the same thing that said God would be doing, except obviously they don't have that label. But if you think about it, they are doing the same thing. They are standing up there and they're putting all this information in your head. All right? And during that time, you are choosing whether or not you're going to take it all in and go, yes, everything this person is saying is absolutely correct and I should believe everything they're saying. Because of what reasons, I have no idea. It could be because well, they're a professor and you're paying them, and they should know what they're talking about. Or, it's a guest speaker at some sort of convention, like maybe some sort of graphic design convention, or I don't know, automotive, anything that you're really enthralled and interested in. You're going to listen to them, and you're either going to take it all in and believe it all and go, okay, this is what I need to abide by. This is what I should be doing. Or you're going to be listening to it and you're going to go, fuck this shit. I don't believe anything this person is saying. Or you're going to find it amusing. It's going to be pure entertainment for you, and then you'll probably dismiss it and almost forget that you were ever even a part of that situation. I just found it really fascinating that when he put the perspective of if God walked in as a guest speaker, because we have no idea of how we were created, why we're here, what we're doing here. I mean, some people could say, I know exactly what's going on, but really, we don't know. Would you want to know? I mean, really, would you? If God did come in as a guest speaker and he was like, all right, I have all the answers you want. Do you want to know? Would you want to know? Think about how that would change your whole entire perspective of life, how that would change your day to day. I mean, first of all, if you knew that, let's say, for instance, he created life out of boredom, I mean, wouldn't kind of like the secret be such a bummer? Like, oh, wow, so sometimes I wonder about my creation and what I'm supposed to be doing right now, and I'm just here because somebody was bored or they wanted to create an experiment and watch me. I mean, how worthless would you feel? And everything that he was saying and the outcomes of what the possible answers could be, it just made me think that every day you should just be doing what you want to be doing. And almost everybody, if they had found out the true reason for their existence, or the truth of everything, they would not be sitting in that classroom listening to that person. Listening to whatever professor, not God, listening to professors teach us shit, their opinions or what they've been educated on from whatever system that they were educated with. They wouldn't be doing that. They'd be free falling, or they'd be raising the family they never thought they had time for, or they would definitely not be working for JP Morgan or any bankers. Love you, brother. I thought that it was really fascinating. And again, I don't know if you can be in my head when I'm thinking about this or how I'm trying to portray the thoughts that were going on. But seriously, everybody is trying to sell you some sort of idea. And I'm not saying like profitable gain. I'm saying that they are trying to put something into your head to make you think a certain way. And you're either going to take it, or you're going to reject it, or you're going to kind of like ride with it and consider it every now and then. Or basically nobody knows what they're talking about. Everybody has that is to be taken lightly. I'm not talking about like mathematicians or scientists, but what I'm saying is when somebody gets in front of a group of people and they put all these ideas into your head and, these background informations, or even when you go on the internet and you do a lot of research, or even when you read books, it's come to that, can you really believe anything? There was something else that he said that made me think, like, I've always thought that way. When you get into a discussion with somebody and they're very adamant about what they believe, and they're like, well, I just know that's true, I guess it's called dogma. You really can't go much further with that person because it's either their way or the highway, and it's a very stubborn way of mentality, and it's unnecessary because you need to be open. Because, ouch, Chuck's wants to join. He has something to say too. You really have to be open to everything, because we really, when it comes to like creation and how we should be living our life and what's wrong and what's right, and oh my gosh, I don't know, like conspiracy theories and the elite group that is running our country and what they're putting in our water. I mean, there's so much out there that we just don't know. Especially, I'm trying to think of this most recent conversation I had with somebody who was very adamant about convincing me about something, and yet they had nothing to back it up. It was just, well, it's just what it is, Sarah. It's the way it is. It's just what is. And I thought that was completely insane. I wish that person could see how insane they looked. Because you can't, I mean, obviously what they're saying is coming from something. We didn't just pop out of our mother's vaginas and go, aha, this is the way it is. I shall tell the world. No. It'd be pretty awesome if it happened that way, if it was for the best of mankind. But we've been socialized and conditioned and manipulated and to think certain ways about certain things and to be discriminatory and to judge and essentially to be separated. So I know I'm going on a tangent. It's just so much that just makes me think about so many things that go off on different limbs. The next thing I really wanted to get into was when he started talking about pantheism. This is something that really hits home for me, and I think that I should probably make another video because I will probably talk a lot about that on different subjects. But just to summarize, or just to sum up what I was just talking about is, about the God being a guest speaker, and I wonder what would you ask? What would you want to know? And what if he did not exceed your what you were looking for, what you thought he could, or when you think about it like that, how much does it really matter? Thinking about these types of things. I know for myself, what I was thinking about too is we have been conditioned to rely on outside forces, whether it's our parents, our teachers, or us, newspapers, or whatever. Since we are little, we are thrown into this lifestyle of always depending on some sort of outside force to tell us how to think and where we should be going, what path we should be following, or what path we shouldn't be following, or how we are expected to act and how we aren't supposed to act. And it's kind of silly if you think about it, because there's extremes within, and then of course there's the generality of it, the textbook of life. But then you get to this age where, you are independent of all these things, okay? You could be. Sometimes you can still be any age and somehow find your way dependent. But you get to the point where you keep asking, I need to know, what am I doing here? Am I doing the right thing? Am I following the right path? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Can something tell me? And that's why I think a lot of people grasp onto religion. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that, why do you think you do that? Do you ever stop to think why you do that? Because my personal opinion is because you have always been taught to rely on something to guide you. You've never been taught just to rely on yourself. To think about yourself and what you need in that moment in time, instead of looking so far in the future and going, but there's a plan for me. And I'm not saying there isn't a plan for anybody, because I definitely am more of a spiritual person, and I have gone through that time where I'm I know I have a purpose. Come on, somebody tell me. And I keep waiting. But I feel like I'm wasting my life when I'm doing that, because I could just be living, and instead of waiting for this one answer, I'm living that answer, because I'm doing the things that make me happy and is good, and it's good for humanity, and it's for the people around me, and it's spreading joy and love and care. So why even bother asking those things or searching for those questions when you can create it in a positive way? I hope that, again, it's in my head. Okay, it's not crazy talk, but it's in my head, and I just hope that that's kind of resonating and making sense to other people. So fingers crossed. Okay, love you. We'll talk more about pantheism soon.